ESPN studios at Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City, this is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio. You can also listen and watch the show on the ESPN app.
Back and better than ever, Greeny with you on this Thursday here. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance as we work our way towards Super Bowl 58. And we'll take a little detour with Tim Hasselbeck in our studio as well, because he's going to tell you something I haven't heard anybody else say. Let's do this thing.
Here we go! Only one place to start.
Mahomes to throw against a four-man rush. Fires it near side to Kelce. Comes back to the ball and holds it in. Touchdown! Kansas City!
I've known Patrick for a few years now, covering him. He is a very likable person, and it's very interesting to see him sort of become this villain.
Everybody doesn't like you. It's not for anything you've really done. It's just for winning. So if that means some other teams and other fan bases aren't going to like me, I'll try to still have a smile on my face and not be a bad example, but I can be that villain for them if they need me to be.
I don't understand this storyline at all. I started seeing this on social. This is just social media nonsense. The Chiefs are the villains? Patrick Mahomes, who might be the most watchable player we've ever seen play the sport, who might be the most likable personality we've ever seen in a place like his. Travis Kelce, who's like a superstar and fun to watch. Andy Reid, whose entire life seems to revolve around cheeseburgers. I'm not sure exactly how. When did we tire of greatness? Did we get tired of watching Michael Jordan? Did we get tired of watching Tiger Woods? Tim Hasselbeck is with us here. Hembo and the rest of the hashtag crew with us as well. Who is tired of watching Patrick Mahomes?
Listen, I feel like that's what I've been thinking. Like all week, I go to people and like there is this Kansas City Chief like fatigue, and it's like you're talking about the Bulls, Greeny, and I think because of your life and where you were kind of during that, like you think of it a certain way. Like being somebody that grew up in Boston, I think I was a little tired of it.
Okay.
Right? So I don't know. Maybe that's where it originates and then it snowballs. Somebody said to me it was after that Buffalo game where Kadarius Toney was offsides and they called it and it took away this play. And then the reaction, kind of the complaining afterwards, like I've heard people say to me, like, no, that's where it flipped. To hear him whining about that is where it changed. But listen, I love seeing their success, and I love Andy Reid and cheeseburgers and all of it.
Listen, I mean, if you want to find a little tiny flaw in almost anything, that does strike me as finding, I don't even know what. I don't know what the flaw in this would have to be. It would be like complaining about Hembo's wardrobe. He's the best. He's the best researcher of all time. But yesterday he was dressed like a Muppet. Today he looks a little bit better.
You took your jacket off, which is disappointing because you and Tim are basically wearing the same thing
We have
today.
the same color palette.
And we both look great. I mean, you might want to seriously consider looking into it.
Not me.
I know you look great. I look great. Hembo, I don't think this is an area you want to dive into too deeply.
I'm going to lose this argument.
Yeah, this is not a place you want to stay in the analytics. I don't think you want to get too much into the
human element,
the wardrobe. Yeah, the human element, I think, is not based upon.
You're not allowed to make eye contact with people, is what Greeny's saying.
Your almost extraordinary lack of humanity. So anyway, you got a lot of Super Bowl stuff, but I have been all week long really interested ever since the moment the Washington Commanders hired Cliff Kingsbury. There has been this, I think, very understandable speculation about whether or not they are going to try and move heaven and earth to get Caleb Williams, who in every mock draft I have analyzed so far, and I've looked at every one of them I can find, every one of them has Caleb Williams going number one, in this case, to the Bears. But now they've hired Cliff Kingsbury, who's his old coach from college. He grew up in D.C. For those who don't know, he went to Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C. Caleb Williams did. Do they try and make the aggressive move for him? And the debate has generally been, do the Bears trade out of that? What do they do if Caleb tries to force their hand? All of that. And then, Tim, you brought an entirely different perspective to our show this morning, and I was delighted by it.
Well, because it was really about Drake May, not about Caleb Williams. And look, I would just say from the Caleb Williams and move heaven and earth for a certain player, like Arizona's not in a great spot after moving heaven and earth for Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. And so I think that path is a dangerous path to go down. Drake May, to me, and I said this on Get Up this morning with you, I've been in this role for 15 years at NFL, and so I've seen Matthew Stafford come out, have seen Andrew Luck come out. I do believe that Trevor Lawrence, I believe that Drake May is as clean and as good of a prospect as I have seen through that entire stretch because of his physical ability, because of his competitiveness, because of his I think what he's good at doing, how that translates to the NFL, to being actually a better pro than college player, an ability to control the game, the flow of a game at the line of scrimmage, which you do much more as a pro player than as a college player. I think that when people go through this process, they're going to find him to be the best quarterback in this class.
I find that super interesting. And because I will tell you that I listen to every podcast I can find, all this stuff as I prepare to host the draft. And most of what I hear is the debate is not even 1 versus 2. The debate is 2 versus 3. It is Caleb Williams, and then it's Drake May and Jaden Daniels. Now, all of that, we're still months and months away, so that could change.
I would just say this to that point. Again, been doing this 15 years. So for me, look, I wasn't a very good player. So when I sat in this role and would evaluate somebody, like the way I've always looked at it is like, if I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong based on what I see with my own 2 eyes.
Of course.
Not because I heard somebody that I respect have an opinion on a certain player. So look, I like Kirk Cousins more than most people. Like I did. Look, in fairness, I thought there was a lot to like about Mitchell Trubisky. Like if I'm going to be wrong on something, it's going to be with my own 2 eyes, not because I'm living in an echo chamber of what other people are saying about a certain prospect. That's how I've always approached this. There's a record. Look, there's no hiding when you're in this business of what you've said on about somebody in the process.
Sure.
And so what I'm saying is this: watching him, knowing, the things I know about playing the position, what he is capable of doing and what he was a part of in college versus what that might look like in the pros with what he'll be asked to do. I think people are going to absolutely fall in love with so many things about him.
You're not the first person to say that. I've heard that a lot. And again, I respect the hell out of your opinion and everyone else's. Here's the point then that also has to get factored in. Most of these evaluations are not wrong. The circumstances dictate so much of this stuff, right? Yes. Who knows what Mitch Trubisky might have been? If Zach Wilson, I'll use him as the most obvious example, because in recent memory, there's been no disaster like that, right? Second pick in the draft, and the Jets take him, and he literally, they will not be able to trade him for 7th round pick here 3 years later. I remember leading up to that draft, Steve Young, who also went to BYU, as Zach did, was campaigning for him to go to San Francisco. He so wanted him to wind up in San Francisco, and the Jets just wouldn't trade out of that spot. If Zach Wilson had wound up in San Francisco playing for Kyle Shanahan with that setup, I'm not sitting here telling you they'd be in the Super Bowl, that he'd be a superstar, but he wouldn't be on his way out of the league. I would bet that. So I think these things are as much a product of the factors like that as anything.
Greeny, that is on the bullseye. And I feel like I had a front row seat to some of it with Eli Manning at the New York Giants. Eli Manning went to an offense that they put so much on his plate. Like, it was amazing to me to see a young player as intelligent from just a football perspective and being able to have that much on him at the line of scrimmage. That same draft class, Ben Roethlisberger, okay? Was not the same type of player early in his career. Ben was, hey, I missed the hot, I missed the blitzer, but I'm so strong in the pocket, I'm throwing somebody, off of me, and then I'm making a play down the field. 2 very different players. Had Ben played for the guys in New York and everything that they were putting on him, I don't know that he would have developed the same way. I mean that. And had Eli gone somewhere where they weren't loading him up and they were just trying to make it simple, and it wasn't feeding into his growth and development of something that he was amazing at doing, which was being really, really smart and being similar to his brother of, put it all on me. Let me make adjustments at the line of scrimmage. That would have affected his development as a player. So whether it's Patrick Mahomes going to Kansas City and being coached by Andy Reid, or Zach Wilson and having his growth stunted by being in a different environment versus being, in San Francisco, that's for real.
Exactly. So then, Himbo, that then to spin it back to where it ultimately nets out, and once we get past the Super Bowl on Sunday, we'll obviously have a lot more of this kind of conversation. But if you're the Bears and you think those guys are neck and neck or whatever the case is, first off, you keep that as to yourself. Yep. You don't say anything. But you could turn that, perhaps at the Combine or something, into Drake May plus a first-round pick or something like that. That would be the best of all possible scenarios.
100%. The thing that the Bears should do, just from an asset management standpoint, is to trade Justin Fields for as much as they can and to trade the number 1 pick and still get a quarterback. I'm a big Drake May guy, as you are. I'm still kind of into Jaden Daniels as a potential franchise quarterback. I love what I saw from him this year at LSU. He's a little bit slight. I mean, I definitely favor...
Not a little bit slight.
He's slight. He's most definitely slight. Drake May has tools coming out of his ears. I think the biggest factor here is we're so quick to anoint quarterbacks. We anoint people. We anointed Jameis Winston. We anointed Trevor Lawrence. We anoint people, and then when their play declines or someone else might improve, we don't modify our opinions nearly fast enough. I think that what we saw from Drake May over the last 2 years is a person that very clearly elevated the program that he was in to a much larger extent, candidly, than Caleb Williams did, who's playing under like the most quarterback-friendly offense in the whole country. We've seen so many people thrive under Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
This is not disparaging Caleb Williams, but the idea that it's him and everyone else, Tim, I've always kind of felt like that's a little bit faulty.
Yeah, listen, and just your college production does not mean, does not necessarily dictate what your NFL production is going to be. Look, for a little background on Drake May, for like the people that don't like really, really know Drake May, if they weren't watching Carolina football games, he actually was committed to Alabama. Like Nick Saban wanted him at Alabama. He was going to Alabama. Mac Brown in the Carolina Ties flip him to Carolina. That's how he becomes a Tar Heel. And so like that's the era he was in coming out of high school. And there was such a personal connection to the University of North Carolina, that program, the history there, because his father was a quarterback there. His brother was an amazing basketball player there. Like, that's how he becomes the North Carolina quarterback, right? So, like, I think sometimes we look at guys and say, well, why is he at that program and not one of these bigger programs? Well, like, he was destined to one of the bigger programs. It was Mac Brown returning that got him to Carolina. And then in terms of ability coming out of the ears, I think that we probably would all agree. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, kind of in a class of their own when you look at size, arm strength, mobility, those things, right? Like kind of in rarefied air. Drake May is in that group. Like he's there right now. I announced, I think, his first start, and I got a text message from an NFL quarterback coach who said to me he could play today.
How old was he at that time?
It was his very first start.
19?
So
he's only 21
freshman.
now.
Oh, let me tell you something. And he's still, from talking to him, he's still he's not a man yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's still got so much room to grow.
His brother was Luke May. For those who don't realize that, he was a big star on the Carolina basketball program for a while. Quickly, I've got a minute left with you, Tim. Who wins on Sunday?
I think the Chiefs win. I think their defense, we talk so much about quarterbacks. I think their defense is the story here. So good on that side of the ball. Steve Spagnuolo, who's done a remarkable job with every defense he's coached, I think he'll have a really good plan to at least take certain pieces out of that, 49ers offense out of the picture.
So you love them from a defensive perspective. I thought the tape you did on Brock Purdy this morning was just outstanding for us on Get Up. You think he struggles against this defense?
Yeah, I think there'll be moments. In the tape, is about Brock Purdy creating offense. And look, Spags will get home with a blitz that fools you. And so if they are going to have success, yeah, Purdy, as we're talking about it on Get Up, will have to play above the X's and O's.
All right, outstanding. Greeny, presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com. Tim Hasselbeck, outstanding. Thank you. We're back in a moment. The hashtag crew jumps in on the Thursday before the Super Bowl on ESPN Radio.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save on bulk purchases of select insulation from trusted brands like Green Fiber. And there's more. Save 10% when you buy 6 or more select interior pre-hung and slab doors. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
Badger football fans, Brad Nortman here, inviting you to the Big Red Rally, an evening full of fun, football, and food, hosted at the Italian Community Center in downtown Milwaukee on February 8th. Meet the Badgers' newest recruits and hear directly from head coach Luke Fickell. Tickets to the Big Red Rally can be purchased individually or in tables of 10, with special discounts for UW-Madison grads. Jump around downtown Milwaukee to the Big Red Rally on February 8th and be part of the tradition. Visit uwalumni.com/events for more information. I will see you there.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service.
It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey.
Riding with you every mile since 1977.
The Boucher Group has exciting news to share with you.
We've expanded to better serve our community.
Introducing Nissan Lake Country, the newest addition to our family.
Step into our showroom and discover our exceptional selection of brand new Nissans.
We're also stocked with the best pre-owned options in the market.
And as we expand, we're not just growing our inventory, we're also growing our team.
So join a team that values your skills and celebrates your success.
Visit us online or in-store today and view our current job listings at bouchercareers.com.
UW Credit Union presents the Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Ashton Rotman with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
This week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week is Homestead's Tim Franks. The 6'5" senior was recently named as one of 6 finalists for Wisconsin's Mr. Basketball Award, and rightfully so. A prolific three-point shooter this season, Franks has connected on 51% of his shots from beyond the arc. Not to be forgotten, Franks has also dropped 30 points or more in 7 games this season. Despite a loss against Pewaukee over the weekend, entering this week, Franks and his Homestead squad are 13-1 in the North Shore Conference, good for first place. Tim Franks will continue his basketball career next at the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota, where he'll play Division I ball. Congratulations to Tim Franks, this week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee. It's time for the Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Join Shaka Smart, Jen Latta, and special guest Al Amadou on Thursday, February 8th from 6 to 7 p.m. for Marquette Thursdays at Motor Bar and Restaurant on the Harley-Davidson Museum campus.
It was the Cam Jones show on Saturday in D.C.
Cam Jones still with it. Now he'll try a step-back 3. Good! Oh, he's feeling it. Cam Jones, the ankle is fine and the 3 is fine.
31 points for Cam as Marquette throttles Georgetown 91-57 for their 6th straight win. But it wasn't just Cam Jones, it was the defense that head coach Shaka Smart was proud of as they get 19 turnovers.
Guys got a high number of deflections. We got our 8 kills, and that's a recipe for going on the road and winning.
Next up, Marquette's back home as they take on St. John's this Saturday at 5 o'clock.
This has been your Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Motor Bar and Restaurant on the Harley-Davidson Museum campus is the home of Marquette Thursdays all season long.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
Greeny with you on ESPN Radio. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. So much to dive into on this Thursday before the Super Bowl, and we'll do it in 30 seconds after this word from ESPN Bet, which is now live as the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. Sign up today. New users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. Download today. What a play. Must be 21 plus and present in a legal gambling state. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. All right.
The Scoop.
Couple of scoops as we have the assembled members of the hashtag crew assemble around us. You've heard from Hembo. He's here. Cam and Bubba are in Bristol. So, Bubba, as the senior member of the hashtag crew, as far as ESPN and ESPN Radio are concerned, I have to raise something as a question. So, I noticed on television this morning, I noticed that it popped up that the Unsportsmanlike crew is doing their show, or doing it from a different spot than they normally do this morning. And I said to Hembo, where are they? And he said, they're in Bristol. Apparently, there's some big ESPN Radio thing going on in Bristol, of which I know nothing. Which led me to say, Bubba, here's the deal. Yeah. Right now, the Super Bowl is going on in Vegas, and I wasn't invited to that. I can live with that, I guess. There's a big thing going on in Bristol, and I'm not invited to that. That strikes me as a very unusual set of circumstances. What can you tell me?
Well, yeah, we're Super Week, so, we used to send all the shows to whatever location. We haven't been doing that the last couple of years, so what they did this year is they had a lot of the shows come to Bristol. So when Sportsmanlike is here, Carlin came up here, Harry Douglas is on his way here. I know he did get up earlier. He's on his way now to Connecticut. So a lot of the shows are going to be here for today and tomorrow, but I'm assuming because of your get-up responsibilities, the invite, I guess, did not extend your way. I mean, I was not in charge of the invite, so I mean...
But here's my question. If we're not sending them to Vegas, what difference does it make if they're in Bristol?
Well, we want to get everyone together because, we group dinners, group meetings.
There's a group dinner?
There is, yeah.
There's dinners, yeah. Because, I mean, the staffs,
So I could have been invited. Let the record show that because of my get-up responsibilities, I understand that I can't be there to do this radio show because we literally start 60 seconds later.
That'd be a tough one, yeah.
But I could have come to a dinner.
You could have.
Quite easily. In fact, this would have been the ideal time for me to do it because my wife and my dog are in Florida. So I'm literally just alone in the house looking for a friend.
But don't you have to get up early?
Of course I have to get up early, but I mean, what are these dinners at 10 o'clock at night? I mean, what time are these dinners?
No, they're, between 5 and 8, depending on the show. But, then you got to get 2 hours back. You'd be getting back late.
I don't understand what you mean, depending on the show. Is everyone going to one dinner or is everyone having their own dinner?
There are different show dinners. I believe Carlin versus Joe had their dinner last night. Unsportsmanlike is having their dinner this evening since they're a morning show.
So they all had to go to Bristol to have a dinner just amongst themselves?
No, they're doing the show from here as well. It's good to have everyone in the same building, everyone except yourself, of course. It's good to have more people around. Show staffs are here.
See each other.
Meet in person. It's good team building stuff.
Some bonding.
Our team is the one that needs built badliest.
I mean,
that's true.
I don't know that the audience recognizes this. Hembo and Cam have never met. They've never been in the same room.
And I've met you one time accidentally in the calf here.
I ran into Cam in the calf. He came over to me and said, "Hey, Greeny," and I said, "Who is this?" And he said, "I'm Cam."
I said, "Would you like a picture?"
You are?
Yeah, Cam who?
Yeah.
Can I have your autograph, please?
Cam is somewhat surprisly tall.
He's a tall man.
Yeah, he's much taller than I expected him to be. And you would know that, Hembo, had you met him, which could have happened were there like a hashtag Greeny team dinner tonight, which we could easily have made. We could do it like halfway in between. Like I live in New York. Hembo lives out in the middle of New Jersey someplace. You two guys live up there in Connecticut.
Right.
We could meet somewhere that's kind of
meet halfway,
and we could all have dinner.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like no one needs to carry your water here, but I mean, you've carried this network for 20 years. It's not so much that you needed to be there, but like we should know that this was happening.
One would think.
You want to be able to decline the invitation.
That's correct.
It's not our fault that you don't know.
Let the record show, I'm not coming, but I would have liked to have been told.
That's the same thing that happened yesterday when you're like, oh, you're coming to the city. Why don't you tell me? I would have said no if you asked, but
that's what people do. That's what people do.
That's pretty much the way it is. And by the way, I got to say something to Brandon, too. So Brandon yesterday starts complaining that he wasn't invited to the Jets night with Aaron Rodgers in the first game and everything. And I had to think about it a minute. But you realize that Bubba and D-Wood slept over my house that night. So the reason you weren't invited is there was nowhere for you to sleep. I only have 3 bedrooms. Stace and I are in one of them. You're not snuggling up with us. So unless you wanted to share a bed with Bubba or with D-Wood, then that's the reason why you were not invited.
Well, he got that mic set up real quick.
Neither one of them live in New York. Guess what?
What?
I live in New York.
Right.
So I could have come and I could have gone.
You live way the hell out on Long Island. You don't live in New York. How long does it take you to get here?
1 hour.
So you're telling me that after the Jet game that night, which ends at 11:30 at night, you're going to take the train back out to Long Island to then get up in the morning 4 hours later and come back again just so you can sit in the room and watch that game?
Or maybe I would have driven, with a heads up. Like, hey, Brandon, remember the end of the week, you're going to come by and this and that. All right, I'll drive this time.
Man,
a lot of hard feelings.
Really know how to hold a grudge.
So you're upset at not being invited to things that you wouldn't go to, and you're mad at Brandon for being upset for not being invited to something that he would have attended.
You're not a principled man.
No one has ever accused me of being a principled man. Who do you think you're talking to? I mean, that's clearly not the case. So anyway, everyone but us is in Bristol.
Cool.
Which is nice.
Cool.
And they're all going to have dinner tonight. Like Fortenbaugh, I'd like to hang out with Fortenbaugh.
Me too.
Fortenbaugh's here all the time now that he lives here.
I could have dinner with Fortenbaugh.
And that's the other thing too. Like ours is the group. This is the winter at Valley Forge. We need the morale boost. And the fact that we weren't invited and the fact that we don't have the opportunity to build equity with each other is going to mean our relationships continue to deteriorate.
If you guys got invited, would I get invited?
No.
Brandon, we weren't. Greeny wasn't invited. This is his own show.
Brandon just wants to get invited
if you
somewhere.
No, you were not invited.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I just want to see things clearly.
All right, Brandon, you come to dinner with us tonight. Greeny and Hembo, not invited.
All right, great.
I could just see that's the direction this was all going to go. Okay, next order of business.
The scoop.
Here's our next scoop. Cam has now taken to quoting himself in the Google Doc. So I come in this morning, and it says in the Google Doc, this note that was announced yesterday, that Nick Saban, the GOAT, the legendary Alabama coach, and everything else, we announced yesterday that he's joining College Game Day as an analyst. I hope you saw that news yesterday. Very exciting for all of us at ESPN. And then it says, like in bold lettering with asterisks around it, very much pictured like it is a quote, a quotation. It says, this is so fascinating to me. Guys like Nick Saban spend their entire career giving short, curt answers to the media, snapping back at the media for dumb questions, saying they don't pay attention to the media rat poison, and then weeks after he retires, he joins the media as an ESPN analyst. And I turned to Hembo and I said, wow, who said that? Where is this quote from? And we realized it's just Cam's opinion, and he's just quoting himself.
I'm not quoting myself.
Yes, you are. What are you doing? You have it in. You bolded it. You have little asterisks on either side of it. You're just opining in a way that it is designed to stand out in the Google Doc. So there's really no other way to describe it, Cam. You have quoted yourself in the show's Google Doc.
If you want to call it that, sure, but I didn't use quotations.
Yes, you did. This got changed this morning.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did. 100% did.
That is 100% not
100%
true.
No, Cam, you don't have to lie. You don't have to be defensive.
No, I don't think it was.
That is absolutely not true.
This one.
I wrote asterisks. I'm just offering some commentary on the topic at hand in order to maybe direct the discussion in a certain way. That's not quoting myself. That's just offering my opinion like a producer in the Google Doc. What is the issue here?
So you're worried that I wasn't going to have an opinion on this.
Yeah. I'm not saying you don't have an opinion. You have good opinions on everything. I'm just putting what I think might be interesting to talk about this topic in there. I'm not quoting anyone. There's no quotes in here.
You're very cranky.
You're calling things out for no reason.
I'm worried about Cam. Now,
Yeah,
this,
me too.
this, Bubba, I need you to adjudicate here.
Yeah.
The way this is presented in the Google Doc, I will agree with him. It was not quotations, but there are asterisks on both the front and end of the paragraph, and it is bolded where all the rest of the copy is not. So it definitely does stand out the way a quote would stand out.
Right.
So I let's put it this way. My first reaction reading it was, wow, who said that?
That was the first thing you asked me.
What quote, who are we quoting here? And then we realized it's just Cam. Not that there's anything wrong with Cam having an opinion.
Sounds like there is.
Well, no, but you have you have a microphone in front of you. You have the ability to state your opinion on the show. I'm worried about Cam. I texted Bubba yesterday. I'm worried about Cam. Cam seems cranky. There's something wrong. What's
Every
going
day
on?
I come in here and I'm fine, and then you guys start nitpicking all these little things that I'm doing in the Google Doc on the show. I'm fine. You guys just keep stoking the flame here.
Have you not figured out that that's what we do? That's the show.
Well, you keep asking what's wrong. This is what's wrong. You guys keep nitpicking what I'm doing on the show.
But this is what we do. This is.
I understand that. I'm answering your question.
Did
What's
you
wrong,
listen
Cam?
to Mike and Mike at all in 18 years?
I don't
All
think
we
it was old
did
enough.
was pick on
We're
each
on
other.
the air. I
That's literally
understand.
all we did. We're doing a show here.
I'm not surprised by it. I am answering your question. Cam, what's wrong? I'm fine every time I come in. I'm not barking at Bubba over here. I wrote an opinion in our Google Doc that we use for our show, and you're like, who the hell's quote is this? It's not quoted. It's asterisk. I'm offering my opinion. Maybe you'll think, oh, this is an interesting direction for this conversation to go.
He's lost his voice.
What is the problem here?
Where did your voice go?
Bubba, here's the thing. I think there's only one of two things. Either Cam is cranky, or what he has realized over the course of time now is he just doesn't like us.
I
think
like
that's
you
what
guys
it is.
fine.
No, you don't. You definitely don't like Cam. Bubba.
How can I not like you? I haven't
don't like
met
me.
you.
You don't like me.
I think you don't like him.
You know,
Bubba.
Nuno was the nicest, jolliest guy before he worked on this show, and you see how cranky he is now. Maybe
Nuno
there's
was
theme
never
here.
jolly.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if we
So upbeat.
Describe him as jolly.
That Nuno is just sunny disposition all the time before he worked with you clowns.
Nuno was crotchety when he was 12.
That's true.
Let the record show.
That's true. That's true.
So anyway, let me give my opinion.
Yeah, please.
On the Nick Saban thing.
Are you quoting yourself here?
I'm going to quote myself. He's going to be extraordinarily good. Extraordinarily good. And Cam, I'm no longer kidding. I'm going to teach you something, perhaps, because you're young in the business and I'm old in the business. All of us have a role to play. The way I've always viewed sports and the coverage of it is that it is a big game. It was Mike Wallace who once called sports the toy department. And it is. But what we're talking about here has no consequence. I guess gambling and all that has changed that dynamic to some degree. But the reality of it is that we are approaching Sunday like something epically important is about to happen. The reality is just as much time, energy, and concern will go into dissecting what happens in this football game Sunday as the presidential election that will take place later this year in this country that will genuinely dictate the shape of planet Earth for the next 100 years. But we will act like what's happening Sunday is that important. And that's wonderful. As I wrote in a book once a very long time ago, the best thing, there's nothing in the world better than investing everything into something that means absolutely nothing. And that's what I love about sports. So when Nick Saban was the coach at Alabama, his role in the game was exactly what he did. The rat poison, the yelling at reporters, the crankiness, whatever. Now, the crankiness, I think, is just actually a little bit part and parcel of who he is. That is the guy that he is, and it's one of the things that I think makes him so fascinating. But that was his role in the game, and he played it better than anyone ever has. If the objective is to win, no one ever did it better than he did. So he played that part in the game perfectly. And now he will have a new role in this game, and I think he's going to be great at it. The great coaches in media, and I've been around I've been here almost 30 years. This summer I'll be at ESPN 28 years. It's impossible for me to believe. It'll officially at that point be half my life. And I've seen them all come through here. And the ones who are great are the ones who aren't trying to get their next coaching job. Nick Saban is retired. I believe he recognizes the sport has changed in ways that he doesn't at his age want to sort of start all over again in. And I think he is going to set his mind to being a great analyst. And I don't think there's anything, certainly anything in the world of football, that Nick Saban sets his mind to that he will not be great at. So I think he is going to be absolutely great. And that show, which is already the show of record, it's as important a show as ESPN has ever had. I think yesterday it just got that much better.
Oh, yesterday was a wonderful day for the world of college football. The opportunity for Nick Saban on a weekly basis during the season to impart his almost infinite knowledge and wisdom to the rest of us is an extraordinary opportunity to the rest of us. I think there is a 0% chance that he's bad at it. 0. I don't know that he'll love it. And Nick Saban is a legendarily impatient person, and there's a lot of big breaks in TV, but the ability for him to teach and for us to be able to get a glimpse as to what made him the greatest of all time is going to make us so much smarter and is going to make that show so much better.
And he's with the right people. You got to be with the right people. So we had John Gruden on Mike and Mike every Wednesday for however many years he was at ESPN. I don't remember. And, of course, people remember John now very differently because of the emails and everything else and the way that he departed. But he was the preeminent or among the preeminent analysts in the sport.